Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Sethum and welcome back to another video guide. Today I am in our Crystal Isles. I'm going to show you how to tame the Crystal Wyverns. Now the very first thing you need to know about taming the Crystal Wyverns is that they are passive creatures, and unlike the other Wyverns in the past, they are actually passive as well, so they're not aggressive. That means you can walk up to them and feed them what they like. Now, for this, you will need to feed them crystals, and I suggest starting off with a low-level wyvern. Feed it crystals. The moment you feed it a crystal, it will want to fly away. The idea here is you want to get your very first wyvern, so you'll have to keep an eye on it and wait for it to land. So for this, I suggest, for the first wyvern, I suggest you get a basic flyer just so you can basically follow it around and be close to it when it decides to land, as that is the only time you can feed it. Once you have your first wyvern, then the job becomes a lot easier, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So this guy has landed. I'm going to try and run up to it if I can. I did make it in time. See if I can get on its back, and that is the basic trick to getting these guys. I am on its wings now. I don't really want to be here, so I'm going to try and move closer to its body where that gap is in between the scales on its back. So as you can see, I have fed it once. Normally it would want to fly away, but it is currently stuck. So that is why you need basically to have a wyvern to make your life easier with regard to taming these guys. As I said, they are passive, they require crystals, and so what you do is you place the crystals in your last action bar slot as you would with any normal tame. Walk up to it and feed it, but because I am on its back, it does not matter where it flies. Now, very important to note here, one thing that I did not do is make sure that once you get off your flyer, whether it is a beginner or starter flyer or another wyvern, make sure you have that on follow, because as you can see, this wyvern, once you fed it, will want to fly away. Now I've got the GPS out so you guys can see the location that I am at, and in this general area is where you will find the tropical crystal wyverns, which is what this is. Now they do come in a wide variety of colors, and they do look pretty amazing, and one thing I do like about them is their wings have a bit of a shimmer to them. Now realistically, in this area there isn't really much danger of falling off, and do bear in mind that this method is most likely a temporary thing that devs have not taken into consideration, so they must have overlooked it. The reason, or how I came up with this, is basically on a tamed wyvern you can stand on its back and not fall. Same thing with the wings, so I decided to give this a go, because otherwise, as you can see, it does fly a fair distance before it decides to land again. So I was looking for ways to bypass the whole process of chasing it and waiting for it to land. So there we are. This is the first wyvern that I've tamed. Now, this is basically a wyvern that has a very interesting ability, whereas if it gets close to water, it gets a buff, as you will see up in the upper right corner, which increases the stats of this wyvern. It does have a water breath, which also does damage over time, much like the fire breath. That makes no sense to me, but it works, and it does seem to do a decent amount of damage. So let's find something to hit if we can. If not, there's another wyvern right there, so I might try and go for that. I'll show you that this can be done consistently. Once you have a wyvern, like I said, it becomes a lot easier. So I'm just following this other wyvern right now. It has landed. What I'll do is I'll land right next to it, then walk right up to it until my wyvern's head is pretty much within the other wyvern's hitbox. Use my wyvern's head and neck as a bridge to get on this guy's back. I want to be right in the center where there's that gap between the scales, and then I can look at it and feed it. As you will see, once I feed it, oh, okay, this was a very low level, but once I feed it, it will want to fly away. Other than that, Nothing too complicated. I'm sure the devs wanted to make this a bit more challenging. It just so happens I got lucky to find this little secret right here. Another thing to know about these particular wyverns, as it currently stands, is you cannot cryopod them. I'll even land it just so you guys can see. Obviously, this is to do with the fact that you can transfer characters but no items and creatures from other maps. So obviously the cryopods here have been spawned in with the intention of trying to cryopod these new creatures. So next up, I will show you where to find the Blood Crystal Wyvern, what it does, and how to tame it. So as you can see, same as before, I am following a Blood Crystal Wyvern. I'm waiting for this guy to land. What I'm trying to do, and another secret that I can give, is try and fly close to the ground if possible. If it is through thick shrubs and bushes and trees, you want to kind of have that wyvern in sight at all times. It's very important. They are quite easy to lose. So it's landed. I'm just going to walk up to it, use my wyvern's head and neck as a bridge to get on this guy's back. Because my wyvern is on follow, I should not lose it. And from this point forth, I can then feed it. Now, because of the area where this wyvern spawns, and you can see the coordinates on the GPS, 60.2 by 35.2. Obviously, as it's moving, the coordinates will shift. But this is the general area where you will find it. Now, going back to what I was going to say before, is that this area has a lot of trees, so there is a chance of me getting brushed off of the wyvern. The other important thing to note here is the flyer that you're going to use. Make sure it's no faster than a wyvern, because you do not want your flyer accidentally knocking you off the back of the wyvern that you are trying to tame. Other than that, it is fairly straightforward. Items from below or from the side should not push me off the back of the wyvern. The only thing that is a bit of a danger is if the wyvern flies into the trees, and a branch above the wyvern may potentially push me off its back. In that case, I have my own wyvern following me. I can mount my own wyvern and then continue to follow this guy. But generally, as you will see, things tend to work out fairly easy, fairly well. And this is only a mechanic that works with these wyverns and the tamed wyverns. I'm guessing the hitbox mechanics are similar to those that you tame. Whereas with the wild wyverns that are aggressive, you cannot do this. Trust me, I have tried so many times in the past. I thought it'd be fun if I could just be on the back of an aggressive wyvern and watch it try to kill me. I've tried that with gigas as well. You just basically slide off of their backs. So that is what I am guessing is happening here. As I've said at the beginning of the video, I suspect this will not last for very long. Also, another thing to keep in mind as you are watching this video is that I have the taming rate turned up to 20. So you will need a fair amount of crystals. Do be warned for that. Of course, there is another type of crystal that you can get from the alpha crystal wyverns, which you can use and is more efficient at taming these guys, but they do have a 40-minute, I believe 40-minute spoil timer. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's another wyvern down there, as you just saw, and throughout this whole process I will have the GPS out so you guys can see the coordinates. It's roughly 60 by 33, so that is where you want to be. This is where I found these particular blood wyverns. So we're fairly near to taming this guy. I'm just checking to make sure that my wyvern is still behind. One more feed should suffice. There we go. Once you have tamed it, you can then just mount it from the air. Simple as simple can be. Now, one thing I like about this wyvern, while it does not do a lot of damage, its breath is basically a leech breath. From what I have seen, it seems to be a bit of an AoE type of damage, in that it will affect creatures all around. So just watch what happens here when I attack this Diplodocus. I have accidentally attacked other creatures within a radius, which happens to be a Dimorphodon, and so by aggroing the Dimorphodon, I got some more of its friends on me. Actually, there seems to have been 4 of them, so I'll try and get rid of these guys and carry on with the next and final wyvern, which will be the Ember Crystal Wyvern. Another thing to bear in mind is as with all wyverns, these guys have very bad stamina, so you might want to invest some points in stamina as well as health and maybe some damage. I'll just wait for some stamina and I will proceed on to the next location. And here we are with the next location. Here are my coordinates, and here is the Ember Crystal Wyvern. Same thing as before, I will land right next to it. I will run up to it and use my wyvern's head and neck as a bridge to get on this guy's back. There we go. You want to do this really quick, because once you start pushing your wyvern into the wild wyvern, it will want to fly away. After it flies away, you can then just be on its back and feed it, and yeah, not worry about too many things. As a suggestion, you might want to have some parachutes with you, simply because there is still a chance of being knocked off its back by some environmental hazard, potentially even your own flyers. As you can see, both of my wyverns are following me, so I know that if I do fall, assuming I do survive it because I don't have a parachute with me, I can mount one of my wyverns and continue the chase until this guy lands and do this over again. So I'm just going to show you the surrounding area. I'm going to keep the GPS out so you guys can see the locations. The locations are pretty much 49 by 55, so that is kind of what you are looking at. So once again, I'll show you the full process of taming it. As I've said before, keep in mind at all times that this particular taming video has the taming rate turned up to 20, so that is to give you an idea of how many crystals you would need. A lot of crystals, so make sure you have a good amount of them on you. Apart from that, you know, it'll be a case of patience. Generally, once you are up in the air, because you are on its back and it doesn't get a chance to land, it will continue to just fly over and over again. Normally it will want to land, and when it lands, you feed it, then it flies away, and then you wait for it to land again so that you can feed it. Normally that's how this was meant to work. So the Ember Crystal Wyvern, what does it do? Well, it just does this. It just has a fire breath. I like it. I think it looks pretty cool. It's just another reskin of a fire wyvern, but I do like the fire wyverns. Actually, all of them are reskins, but I do like this color and texture on this particular wyvern. So that is pretty much it. It is not anything too complicated to tame them. I know I've said it, and I'm going to emphasize that this is most likely possibly to change at some point in the future. I've shown you their locations and where you can find them, and this is the only video I know that shows you this easy method of taming these creatures. If you guys found it useful and informative, please don't forget to share it with your friends. Let everybody know about this method. I am out here to help everybody else, and as far as I know, I'm the only one that has come up with this idea simply through testing ways of taming these creatures. This is all to help you guys, so share, like, and subscribe for more similar content. Now, the amazing part about this method is, until it gets patched and fixed, is that you can tame one of these wyverns really early on. I mean, all you need is a basic fire, a ton of crystal. Get your first wyvern, make it a low level, it's not important. Once you have your first wyvern, you can then tame tons of crystal wyverns just with the method that I've shown you. And as you can see, it works consistently all the time. With that being said and done, that is it for this video, folks. I do hope that you have enjoyed it and found it useful and informative. If you have, please don't forget to support me and the channel by hitting that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already for more similar content from myself. And if you have just subscribed, why not check out some of my other videos and guides here on this channel? Who knows, you might just enjoy them. And don't forget to hit that bell icon so that you get notified when I upload new videos and content to the channel. Also, for those interested, you can always find me on the Sethtopia Discord. Links to this, of course, you can find down below in the video's description, as well as in a pinned comment from myself. Until next time, stay safe, folks.